Joining us now to talk politics, we have former Republican Speaker, Oklahoma House of Representatives and Newsmax contributor T.W. Shannon. Also with me is Democratic analyst Jonathan Harris. Both of you, welcome. T.W., MSNBC analyst Donnie Deutsch, a self-professed Trump whisperer. Well, this is what they had to say. Watch.
Two great things happened as a result of the trial of the Biden campaign. One was the guilty verdict, and the two is that this has put Trump on a path. This is all he can talk about. You know, you never hear the words inflation out of his mouth. You don't even hear the words immigration or crime or any of the talking points that he would usually use. He is consumed with this now. And I think just even now, we're just a week or 8 days out of the trial. This is all he can talk about. This is not what voters want to hear. I mean, I don't think any voter is going to say, I have yet to see in the polls the numbers. I see things with the economy. I see things about immigration. I see things about abortion, democracy. I don't see revenge as an issue that any voter has ever said is a key issue for them. And the more Donald talks about that, the better it is for Biden.
TW, this seems to be the talking point right now. Trump, revenge, as we head towards November. Your reaction to those comments?
Well, first of all, it's just not true. Donald Trump has the capacity to talk about a variety of issues, and he does. He talks about Biden's failed border policy. He talks about the many wars that are happening as a result of the Joe Biden policy. So, yeah, Donald Trump is talking about a legal system that has gone completely awry, that has been basically weaponized against everyday Americans and also against the former president of the United States. But yeah, there are a lot of issues to talk about, but the weaponization of the Justice Department is certainly one of them. And even in these states where they have clearly used trumped-up charges against a former sitting president, it does fly in the face of democracy. It is an issue for the American people. But you're right. We've got to talk about other issues. And Donald Trump's talking about all of those. That's why people are showing up in the thousands at his rallies across the country, because they want to hear what he has to say, because they want to make America first, make America great again by starting with America First policies.
We'll see how that one plays out in Las Vegas today. I want to go to you, Jonathan. Why does the Democrats, are they leaning into this revenge of Trump? I saw, he did an interview, and he could have said locked up Hillary Clinton. He said that he didn't because he thought that would be, bad for the state, bad for the country. But this revenge talking point, why are the Democrats leaning into this, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, look, Donald Trump does it himself. I mean, he's the one who goes out and talks about that. This is something that he does. It's not about Democrats setting this as the talking point. He's the one who does it. And when he said he didn't say lock up Hillary Clinton, there have been countless video fact checks online playing reels of him saying he was
what he meant, though,
what
he meant, oh, sorry to interrupt, but what he meant there is he had the opportunity to lock her up, and he didn't lock her up. It wasn't a matter of if he said it or not. It was a matter of he could have followed through with it.
Right, but the point is, if your argument is going to be, oh, they're so mean, they're using the justice system against me, I'm such a victim, it's really hard to take that seriously when you're the one who primed the system for that by saying that you were literally going to lock up and prosecute your political opponent and put her in jail. I mean, he said that repeatedly. So one could argue that the reason he didn't do it is because there was nothing for him to do it with, because she didn't break the law, and that will set Trump supporters off, but that's what the truth is. But he primed the system for that. And yet I find it interesting that no conservative is saying that Hunter Biden, the son of the president of the United States, being on trial facing federal charges at the exact same time in an election year is not election interference.
Well, I mean, with that case,
Trump that's kind of silly.
But with that case, I mean, they tried to get a plea deal pushed through that the judge questioned, and then it all blew up, and that's why.
And then here's the point about Hunter.
Okay, hold on. Before we get
I'm just saying that you don't.
Wait a minute, we're going to talk about Hunter
making the same argument.
All right. Let's move on to this. Let's move on to this. Host Joy Reid
we can't talk about this justice system and Hunter Biden and not recognize he's the poster boy for liberal privilege in America. Donald Trump did not go after the Biden cartel when he was president. Yeah. He could have. In fact, I think he should have, but he didn't for the sake of the country. And that's very different than what we're seeing now. These trumped up charges against Donald Trump, against, and even look at the people around Donald Trump that they've had their life, liberty, and property all put in jeopardy because of Joe Biden and the Democrat policies. That's a fact. You can't change it.
All right, Jonathan, I'll give you the opportunity to respond, but I got to get to this soundbite here, so you can respond to TW, but I'm going to play this first real quick. This is MSNBC, Joy Reid. Feel free to launch into something about this or what TW just talked about. Watch.
And you've left off, Claire, that in your state, it's illegal for a pregnant woman to get an abortion. So they've also gone after no-fault divorce. So if you're pregnant and you're in a marriage with an abusive spouse, you can't even get a divorce once you become pregnant. You become the property of both your husband and the state. They have joint ownership of you in the state of Missouri. That is a slave state as far as being a woman is concerned, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so there's the comments. Jonathan, you're up. You're on deck. You can respond with TW if you want to.
Well, I'll just say this. I mean, Joy, she said she categorized it as her opinion. As far as what TW said, look, the truth of the matter is simply this. Hunter Biden came out and said that he is responsible for his actions and what he's done. That is a stark. You haven't had the Democrats attacking the judge. You haven't had Hunter Biden coming out and attacking the judge. That is a stark contrast to what what the Republicans and Trump supporters and Trump himself did. I will say this. It is a constant look. Trump was the worst jobs president in modern history. He is the only president, at least in the past 7 decades, to leave office with less jobs than when he started. And so it is much easier for Republicans to try to make the narrative about anything else. There's a reason Trump keeps having to hold these rallies to rally his base, and him and Biden are about neck and neck in the polls every week. They seem to trade off, and Biden doesn't have to keep rallying his base because Donald Trump wants to change the narrative from his performance as president, being the worst jobs president in modern history, crashing our economy twice, once from COVID, once from the trade war with China, to make it about something else. And that's why he keeps having to rally up his base to do that. Yeah. And look, I get why TW wants to make that the narrative, but the truth is all these people around Trump that ended up in jail, it's not because they're victims, it's because they have poor conduct and they broke the law.
TW, we got about 30 seconds, TW, but you get last word here to respond.
I'm not even sure where to respond. Donald Trump had the most prosperous economy in the history of America. And the fact that the pandemic wrecked it, it's very intellectually disingenuous to try to portray it as a failed economy. The truth is the policies of Donald Trump work. That's the reason he's neck and neck in the polls with Joe Biden, because people are suffering under Bidenomics. We see it happening every single day. We now have 2 wars launched across the world because of the policies of Joe Biden. We didn't have that when Donald Trump was president. We didn't have an open border when Donald Trump was president. These are the facts. You can't change them because of your own personal opinions and your own personal persuasion. You can use the talking points of Joe Biden all you want, but the truth remains, people want an America First president. We had it before. Your choices are simple, 45 or 46, and American people are choosing 45 because of the policies.
All right. I have to leave it there. TW Shannon, Jonathan Harris, great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Thanks, John.